All right, there you
And
are.
we're live, I
Howdy,
think.
folks.
I
Yeah,
think.
I think we're good. I
Let's
think we're good.
let's double check
That's a good point. We
because
should, hopefully, everybody can hear us.
oh boy, have we been having audio problems.
You're not doing a podcast if you haven't had audio issues.
Yeah, so technically this is a redo of episode 2. Um Poor
So,
episode
Ted, yeah,
2 got lost to the ages.
this is episode 2B. Episode 2 is now lore material.
Oh yeah, the lost episode. It will be spoken about in okay. Okay, maybe we don't have audio.
Oh, God.
It says it's. Oh, maybe it's. Okay, let's try. We're taking extra time today to make sure it's all
Yeah, we don't want to
good in the
record a
hood
whole
because we
nother
don't.
episode where you can't hear people.
Yes.
One day we're going to come on and just not actually talk, and you're going to have to guess what we're saying. Oh, I hear
Okay.
us. I hear us.
I hear you and me, so I think that means we're good.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay. Yeah. So like we were saying, we did record an entire episode 2. It was live. And then we ended the episode, said our goodbyes, and I went to edit it and realized there was no audio. I don't know if it went out live without audio or if, like, what exactly happened. Either way, episode 2, we had our good friend Brady Blackstock on. He was going to be our first guest, and that unfortunately didn't work out because of all the shenanigans that happened with the audio. We are going to get him back on, but it's probably going to be a bit. And unfortunately, he may, because he's going to be busy for the next couple of weeks. So our next guest will likely be somebody else, just because schedule aligning. But yeah,
If it is who we think it's gonna be a hoot.
oh my gosh, yes. So I'm not updated on this. Did you know who respond to you?
Not yet.
Not
Not yet.
yet. Okay. Well,
I'm sure. I'm
keep it
sure we'll be
going.
able to work. We'll be able to work something out. He's
Okay.
got work. He's been working some night shifts. So
Oh. Ah. Yeah. I think we all kind of feel that game a bit.
tell me about it.
But
I got
yeah.
lucky last night. I was gonna have to stay up until about 6 in the morning doing the shift because typically my shift would have ended at 4, but we would have had to do a conference call if condition had stayed forecast. But thank goodness in Newfoundland, the new run of the models had a faster progression, so rainfall amounts were forecasted to come down from where they were, so I didn't have to do that call, which was
Well, that's good.
beautiful. Or else I'd be more dead right now.
Yeah, I had the Saturday and Sunday morning shifts, and um, it wasn't too bad, but we had like so I had known there was possibility of some showers kind of in the southern counties of the area, and it like the models weren't very big on it. We were really mostly I was kind of expecting it to just maybe get a few of the southern counties and just a real light and quick whatever. And temperatures were above freezing, so I thought, oh, it's just gonna be little rain showers. Well, during the course of the show, like, and just before the show, it just developed into this freak sleet storm and dumped a like decent amount of sleet, enough to actually accumulate on the roads, despite being like 6 degrees above freezing.
What in the
And I was
world?
just like, Okay, yeah,
the worm layer must have been just absolutely
I don't know.
shallow.
It, shallow worm layer, and because by all the things, it was bizarre. So yeah, I left my shift and got home, and then got a message from the chief that was like, "Hey, we need to actually like talk about this because it's sleeting harder now." It's like, so we did some Facebook posts and stuff, but yeah, it was bizarre. It went from like probably not going to be much of anything over like 2 hours to yeah, now we have to issue like road condition post because
Yeah. No bueno. Very
yeah,
no bueno.
it's and that's just that's just Texas for you. It just happens.
Texas does what it wants.
It
There's no
happens.
controlling it.
But it was yeah, it was weird. I think I'm actually gonna move this over here. I think I don't know.
It's one of those days.
Yes. Now in the tweet I had said we were going to talk about something and that it was a surprise. Do you want to mention what that is?
Do I know what it is?
I don't think you do because I don't either. That's the surprise. It's going to be a
Oh, okay.
surprise to us too.
There we go.
Um, Obviously, we probably want to take a look at.
Yeah, I saw day three has some interesting stuff out there. I've seen some pessimists on Twitter and some people on the complete opposite end, hyping it up like it's
Always the
May 3rd,
pessimist.
99 again.
Now, to be fair, it is just a marginal. I guess we can actually go
But
ahead
it's
and
day
look
three
at that.
marginal, which means it has all the possibility in the
Yes,
world
and
to.
that's what I wanted to talk about a bit. So I'm gonna go and switch over to this so you can see. Yeah, so we have a day three marginal, which so how many other day three marginals have we had that like really cranked up into slider enhanced?
Well, there's been quite a few. It happens pretty often, actually. I mean, once you get closer, the high resolution models pick up better on certain characteristics and
Mm.
whatnot. And I've seen things go the complete opposite way too. I mean, it takes a lot for them to say drop a slight down to a marginal, but it does happen occasionally.
But it's something, and for
Hey,
late
it's
late
storms.
February,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's storms in February. Give me,
something
I'll
to
take
something
any
nice to
storm. I
talk
could.
about.
We have not had a rumble of thunder here in State College, and I don't know how long, and I hate it. I hate it.
Oh man, yeah, it's been a dry winter as far as interesting events go. But we hopefully maybe we did have that really big. What day was that? That we had the we had the enhanced that ran from like Louisiana and Alabama up to like
Yeah, that was it was
it
less
was
than
a
a week
little
ago. It was less than a week ago. I remember because there was a whole fiasco with that too. Anytime there's weather, never go on weather Twitter.
weather Twitter is
Just
awful.
before, during, or just after an event, it will lead to nothing but you wanting to gouge your eyes out. Yeah, I'm not too caught up on I feel like I say this every time. I'm not too caught up on the particulars of this. I've been so focused on the rain event up in Canada with me working the last few days that I haven't really had an opportunity to. All I know is my shift this week is Atlantic Canada and then Georgia of all places, randomly. And nothing's going on in Georgia, so there's no reason for me to pay attention really to the U.S.
Well, if you want, we can go ahead and read this discussion on it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So this is again in reference to the day three. If we look at probabilistic, this is just generic severe probabilistic because they don't have the distinction between wind, hail, tornadoes this far out. But so here is the summary. Isolated severe thunderstorms are possible on Wednesday from parts of Oklahoma and North Texas eastward into the lower Mississippi Valley. Um, Synopsis: an intense mid-level shortwave trough will quickly move from the southern high plains into the lower. I need my glasses. I did this last time. Wow, look at that! I can see. Um, an intense mid-level shortwave trough will move very quickly. Will very
Okay.
quickly move from the southern high plains into the lower Ohio Valley by early evening. The large-scale mid to upper level trough will encompass much of the west by early evening. The primary mids level speed max will round the base of the large scale trough and move from Southern California to the Southern Rockies and subsequently into. I'm just going to skip forward a bit.
Yeah, but I mean, that's good information to know. I mean,
Mhm.
so what it sounds like is just based on hearing
There
that.
we go.
In case you're listening to us and say Norman, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City area, sounds like not really going to be an event for there. If it's be rather quick moving, typically you want that large scale ascent to kind of be sitting there and be in a good position for some time to really get maximum storm coverage. And if you look at the map, just based on what they're showing there, the real intense thunderstorms could be anywhere from
So we can actually
oh,
take
what
a
is
look at the
that?
map here.
That's what
Switch to
Ardmore, Oklahoma, probably.
what? Oh, from
Just trying to
the
guess
marginal.
where.
Yeah,
Yeah, say Ardmore, probably.
yeah, it's a little too far east to be Lawton, but yeah, about Ardmore. Yeah, Red River.
Yeah, the Red River area. Just if you're in the DFW area, a little bit maybe more for you with that speed max rounding the base. I mean, you could get some. That would give you some good divergence aloft,
Yeah, so
and
let's actually take a look at that. What do we want to? What do you want to start with?
we have a comment that says no one cares about storms east of I-35.
Very true. Technically speaking,
East of I-35 chase terrain
you don't.
sucks.
What was it? So our one of our old professors, Dr. Clazel,
Oh yeah.
good old Kevin, he had two rules: you don't chase east of 35, and you don't turn your back to a tornado.
And if you do either, he's fining you $1.
Yes, I did. He start that back up. He was
I think he did.
okay. He said he was
I've seen
going
him
to.
posting on Twitter a few times recently.
Okay, yeah. So he has a thing where on weather Twitter, which is, as already mentioned, a horrible place to be. Um, he has a thing where if you post a picture of your back to a tornado or you're east of 35, he fines you $1, and he collects all that over a year or so and donates it to some charity of some kind.
I will. I hate to tell Dr. Clazel this. I would gladly pay the dollar to get a selfie photo with a tornado. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That dollar is going to a good cause.
It's going, yeah, it's going to a good cause, and I gotta have one.
Now the
I
chasing
gotta
east
have
of
one.
35 part.
That's a little sketchier because it is, it's wooded and hilly, and it's not good
Yeah,
terrain.
for those who don't know, once you're west of I-35 is kind of where the tree line in the U.S. ends. If you were to look at a map, anything west of 35 tends to be a little bit more dry and arid, so you don't have as much tree development. But once you get east of 35, oh my goodness, especially southeastern Oklahoma, nightmare. You think you're chasing a Mississippi? It's
Hmm.
awful.
And the idea of Chaser's Jungle, right, where you're driving along, you physically can't see the tornado. That's the biggest problem is you can't see it. If it shifts directions or something, you don't know. You have only your radar to tell you that, and of course, radar has a 5 to 6 minute delay on it. So
Until we get phased array.
okay, yeah, we should talk about that actually. Um,
Phased array radar is going to be the next big thing. Man. It's going to take them 25, 30 years to implement it. But once it comes out, man, it's going to change the game.
so maybe explain phased array radar for
Yeah,
someone who
so
doesn't know, which would be me because
currently,
I don't actually
current
I've never heard of this.
currently, what we do with our current what we call WSR 88D radars is it's a satellite dish, and it's at an angle looking up at the sky. And what happens is we set it at a certain angle. It does a rotation around, scans the sky. Then it goes to a different elevation angle, goes around, scans the sky, goes up again, goes around, scans the sky. Then it has to come back down and scan that same level again. So you're getting that, you're not getting the minute by minute details there because you're getting one radar scan, then it has to go scan all the other loops before you can get back down. What phased array does is it is a sort of a cylinder now that projects a beam out instead of just at one elevation. It sends a beam out at all elevations and it scans. And so you can get quicker data because you don't have to wait for it to go up in elevation. And so these are being tested specifically in a multitude of different places. The University of Oklahoma has one. They're testing. It is on the what is it? See, I'm tired. I'm blanking on the name. But there's a building next to the weather center that whenever there's weather ongoing, you'll see it spinning and testing
Oh,
it. The
yeah, I know what
problem
you mean.
is, yeah, the problem is with any governmental organization, and don't get me wrong, they cost a lot of money, um,
I mean, it's not like
and
normal radars. It's
it's not any
it's not
cheaper.
pennies,
It's
man.
not any cheaper. It might even be more expensive, to be honest.
What did
I'm
they?
not entirely sure on the details on that, but
I feel like I heard somebody say 10 million for a
it wouldn't surprise
radar
me.
sight.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know if
You
that's
got to factor
true.
in,
If
you
I'm
got the
misremembering
because you actually
that.
have the radar dish and you have the computer software and
Hmm.
everything that goes into that. But phased array, whenever it comes out, whenever however long that is, it's going to change the meteorology field because we'll get better data quicker, which is the most
I've
important thing.
never heard of this. How did you hear about this?
Yeah, it's just it's the next big. I've always been kind of a radar guy. I love radar. I've been looking at weather radar my entire life, and so I've been digging into what's upcoming, and phased array is the big next thing whenever it does come out. Again, with governmental bureaucracy, anything, things that cost a lot of money, and meteorology itself is a very slow moving field. Heck, it took us so super long to even just adjust to cloud computing. Like, it, cloud computing is a relatively new thing in the meteorology field. How long has that been around?
I mean, we got a long way to go on that too. Like I genuinely think AI, and also I know it's a buzzword, but like quantum computers or like particle computers.
Hmm.
If we could run models even 20% faster than we can currently, like that's big. And
Yeah.
so the fact that some of the stuff down the pipeline is cool. We're living in a cool time.
Meteorology is going in a great direction, man. The technological advancements, it's going to be huge for the field. And I guess segueing back into our conversation, that's why chasing in wooded areas is so dangerous because
Yeah.
you don't have up to the minute radar information. That dang storm, tornadoes occlude, they can dive southward. You need that minute by minute information, or you have to be able to see the storm to be able to tell that,
Mm-hmm.
which hats off to people who decide to chase down in the Mississippi and Alabama and all that. You couldn't pay me to do that. That is so dangerous to chase down there because the amount of trees down there and the storm motions. You got storms moving 60, 70 miles an hour down there. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. We do have a chat here. This is in reference to the radar cost. I'm assuming. Quote, a million, billion, jillion, gigillion, and that's credited to Joe Biden. I don't know if Joe Biden actually said that, but it's very possible. Uh, let's
Me,
see here.
when my parents asked me how much money I've spent on coffee in the last month.
Okay. I'm being told, Will, that your audio sounds a bit odd.
Oh
Um,
boy.
let's
When does my
see.
audio not sound odd? I feel like it always sounds odd.
Um, might be an issue of turning it up a bit. Let's see what that does for us. Go ahead and give us another mic check real quick.
Testing 1 2 1 2.
Okay, that might be a little better.
All right, hopefully. As
Um,
long
so
as people can still hear me for the most part, I think
yeah,
it's an improvement.
yes. Anything where the audio is actually coming through is an improvement, at least to last episode, because that was, man, it wasn't just embarrassing, it was disappointing because it was like, man,
Yeah, we had some good conversations.
we did. We talked about research, our research ideas, even though I'm not going to do research. I don't like math and coding. I don't want to do research ever. But Will, you're a research guy,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, you gotta. I don't know. There's like we mentioned, there's a lot of really cool stuff down the pipeline. So we have another comment here. Unrelated topic: best wedding songs.
Oh gosh,
Easy,
Well, what do
easy.
you got? What do you got?
Silly love songs by Wings.
Oh, oh, oh man, what do I? Man, I tell you what, "Forever After All" by Luke Combs is a pretty good one.
No, not Luke Combs.
You don't like Luke
I don't
Combs?
like Luke
You don't like
Combs.
Luke Combs? Oh,
I
come
don't.
on.
I don't like Luke Combs. I would take Alan Jackson
Okay, yeah, you're more of a classic guy.
or pretty much anything over Luke Combs.
You're not a big fan of the new pop country, huh?
Oh, okay. So it's that's your echoing.
Ah,
I bet it's the desktop thing again. Okay, how did I? Okay, I'm gonna try something. It may not work, so we're gonna need some chat feedback. We're gonna get this narrowed down one
it's the
day.
last thing we do.
One
It might
day.
take us the rest of our lives, but we're gonna do it.
Okay. So that says it's on monitoring output. Let's switch this to mute output. All right, Will, say
Okay.
something.
Okay. Okay. Testing. Testing.
How's that?
Hopefully, no echo. Maybe. Hopefully, I'm not in a cave. I promise.
Um, well, since
Much
we
better. There we go. Much better. Okay.
perfect. Okay,
Beautiful.
dude, it's part incompetence on my part because I don't know what I'm doing, and it's
None
part
of us do.
Streamlabs. I will, in my defense, Streamlabs settings are not intuitive at all. If anybody here's used Streamlabs or anything, I am going to do my own little audio check here in a second. So, in order to get you talking, Will, why don't you
Yeah.
go ahead and we'll circle back? Oh, did you? Oh no, you did do your best wedding song. Okay, let's circle back to the categorical outlook
Yeah.
day 3.
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you want me to pull up for it? We got
Yeah.
models.
Let's see here.
Something with a wealth of knowledge, so you can go on for a while, and I can check your.
Yeah. Let's pull. I'll pull up something here on my end. And I'll tell you what to look at here. Let's see.
Okay, I
Let's
got
see.
another confirmation the audio is better.
Beautiful.
Shout out to my sister who is giving time out of her day to be our audio checker. Thank you.
You know what? I don't really know what to pull up here. I guess Kate might be just mixed mean layer Kate maybe. Just
All right.
go through in time there.
Let's do it on the. Let's do it on meta-analysis. That's always
All
fun.
right.
I don't know which box to click. How about this one?
It's probably the South, Oklahoma, North Texas one, right?
Oh, I can do a full conus. Cool.
Oh, beautiful.
All right. You want surface-based cape, and then let's do. I don't know.
This doesn't go out very far, which
It
is
does
the
not.
only downside. But here we can just go back to the actual outlook, and
Okay.
there's some more stuff to maybe discuss
All
there.
right. I'll just let you go. So
Yeah,
I'm
all
gonna
right.
go ahead and double check
All
on
right.
my end, but
So looking at the analysis here, it looks like the SPC expects showers and thunderstorms to be ongoing apart uh, parts of the southern Great Plains Wednesday morning. Really, it looks like. Um, Looks like the low level jet over the kind of Arcla, Texas area um, is pretty potent. It's a pretty potent low level jet. I think the 850 millibar winds are right about 65 knots, which is that's pretty good. They are southwesterly, which you might want to see a little bit more southerly, but my only concern there is maybe some dry air intrusion aloft that could hinder some support, but a low level jet nonetheless, even coming from that way, if it's coming from sort of southwesterly, you're still probably going to funnel in some moist air from parts of southern Texas that'll be pulling from. It seems like it's going to be centered mostly over kind of it's tough to really get a great gauge on it at this point, but it's possible that it'll be kind of dipping down towards the like sort of say the Austin area, which is kind of why I'm a little concerned about maybe some moisture return issues could be a problem. But if the surface level winds are strong enough out ahead of this anyway, then it it really wouldn't matter too much. Does look like they expect that low level jet sort of add a little bit of lift to the atmosphere, which could allow for probably some small hail and some gusty winds. I wouldn't expect too much out of those if you're sort of in eastern Texas, back west towards the Dallas Fort Worth area. Wouldn't expect too much out of these. But if you get closer to Louisiana and Arkansas, uh, seems like the surface heating once that upper level support travels farther to the west, excuse me, not the west, the east. I always say the wrong
I
direction of what
literally
I'm
do
trying to
that
say.
all the time. All the time.
um, yeah, like you mentioned earlier, the SPC expects the upper level support to pretty quickly eject off to the east and even a little bit northeast. Um, during the day. And what that'll do is that'll push some of that favorable, what we call lift for thunderstorms, what creates rising motion farther to the east over Louisiana and Arkansas. And that'll be by midday. So that'll allow for some surface heating. So if we get some fairly clear skies out ahead of this system, in the warm sector, we could get. I'm not sure what they're expecting dew points to really be. That'll be kind of kind of um, it does look like lapse rates are kind of, for lack of a better term, straight trash, um, which is kind of what happened last week in parts of the Southeast. The mid level lapse rates were just so bad that you weren't getting super vigorous updrafts to go up, and storms never really matured the way that everyone kind of thought they would. That combined with just the sheer amount of storms that were just kind of in the warm sector, kind of raining on one another, and there was a little bit of dry air mixing in as well. Um, Really limited the scope of the severe event, and it almost seems like they learned from that last week and are kind of applying that knowledge to this event this week. By because last week was it was enhanced, wasn't it, with a 10% hatch, I believe.
It was enhanced. I don't remember if it was hatched or not.
There's possibility for some pretty decent. It looked like a pretty classic Southeast U.S. setup that just never materialized, and I think some of the weak mid level lapse rates, which is what lapse rates are for those who don't know, is the rate at which temperature drops as you go up in the atmosphere. And moist air, as much as everyone hates that word, moist air uh, cools slower than dry air does, and typically you want to get some more you want to get a little bit more drier air aloft. That way your warm moist air from the surface can just rise right through that, because it's not going to cool as fast as the environment around it. So if you picture it this way, right, you all know the adage warm air rises. So if you take a bubble of warm air, which is kind of how we visualize thunderstorms, if you have a bubble of warm air and it's warmer in the environment around it, it's just going to keep rising. And that's what creates, and the bigger separation between the environmental temperature and the parcel temperature, we call this bubble the parcel, which, funny story. Uh, my girlfriend and I are adopting a kitten tomorrow. and we decided on the name Parcel for this exact
Did
reason.
you didn't tell me that. That's awesome.
Yeah, her name is going to be Parcel, which
That's
I
adorable.
love. Um, so you have these air parcels that they rise, and the bigger difference between the environmental temperature and the parcel temperature creates stronger upward motion, and the stronger that upward motion you get, the stronger the storms tend to get. Now, when you have sort of a little bit more water laden mid levels of the atmosphere, and by mid levels I mean thousands of feet up. Um, you get a little bit of some weakened motion there, and there's a whole factor of calculating this called CAPE, which is convective available potential energy. I'm not going to bore you getting into the weeds of that. There's a very long and nasty equation on how to calculate that, which I'm not going to put everyone through.
Oh
So,
no, we're not doing that. Um, I was gonna say I don't know, Will, if you can see my screen, but here's the GFS cape for I'm
Mhm.
assuming what they're looking at, starting you know Texas, Oklahoma, and then really cranks up into these
Yeah,
more
southeast
Midwest
there.
states. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's interesting they don't expand the overall risk. I mean, there's
it is a day three.
typical thunderstorm. Yeah, and I imagine this marginal region. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a slight gets thrown in there, right? It's marginal. No, yeah, marginal slight, then enhanced. So there could be a slight maybe for the northern Louisiana, south central Arkansas regions. You could see that marginal expanded probably a little bit more north and east, closer to St. Louis, up to Louisville. Could even be pushing closer to Indianapolis. We'll have to see.
We've also had a question asking, yeah, but how about the fire weather risk? So
I'm
this
no expert.
is
Let me guess who's that's from.
uh,
This is that good old Tyler Salas.
might be.
Tyler, I'm gonna tell you what something right now. I got no clue when it comes to fire weather, bro. That's all you. That's
Well,
all you. I could. What's the? Let's see. Look at that. There's a chance for fire. There you go.
so fire weather's weird. Fire weather, um, and Tyler, you can feel free to correct me on this. Fire weather is essentially it's a combination of like the dryness of the air, but well, wind speeds obviously, but also like the how dry the fuel is. Like there's a fuel index.
Yeah, that goes back into our cap. I remember that from our capstone. I was. I'm gonna be honest, Tyler, man. That's all you. I just don't find that stuff quite
So
as
I'm
interesting.
actually going to.
But to each their own. At least someone has to find it interesting to be able to do it. Maybe if I grew
So
up in the constantly on fire world of California, I'd be more into it.
the Oklahoma Mesonet, which I used to work at, great resource. Um, even for just for not like not specifically Oklahoma stuff, I will say their fire weather just array of stuff is top notch. So here's state maps. Okay, actually this is good.
Even if you don't like looking at actual weather data, the Mesonet ticker is a hilarious way to
Yes,
learn about the weather.
the guy who writes those was my boss. Um, hilarious guy. Hilarious guy. So actually, the reason I pulled this up is because this is a really good way to see kind of what goes into fire weather, at least by um, like generic standards. So humidity and winds, obviously, a lot of humidity, wind speed, direction, wind gusts. Um, Here's some of the weird stuff: burning index, spread component, energy release component, ignition component, 1 hour dead fuel moisture, 10 hour, 100 hour, 1,000 hour. Herbaceous moisture, how dry the plants are. Woody moisture.
Oh
Um,
yeah, all that stuff's starting to come back to me now. I'd put all that out of my memory. Now it's coming back.
there's an index for drought. There's visual greenness and relative greenness. All this stuff that I really don't know much about, but
It's it's in the same way with severe weather. There's a lot of sort of calculated variables that are fueled by equations and whatnot that people who are more into in depth with fire weather sort of understand better than I do. Um,
Everybody's got their
Tyler,
specialty or their area of
Tyler, we'll have to get you
interest.
on to come talk about some fire weather,
Yes,
bro.
actually, we should schedule that. Have a whole fire weather day. We'll pick a day where
We'll talk about our capstone,
potentially. So
even though
here's
we already talked about it.
even though we did, yeah. Rip episode 2, part 1. So here's the outlook. This is day 2, by the way. Day 1 was nothing. Um, but yeah, realistically, right? This is where it starts. This Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
it is
the
supposed to get pretty windy out in Oklahoma this week. I thought so.
and the conditions that make it so windy are what's going to be helping with that convective outlook off to the east. So they just say on track with minor. By the way, it's just elevated for those who can't see. Um, yeah, low relative humidities. Obviously,
Makes
the
sense,
wind.
especially on the backside of a trough. That makes sense. You're gonna get some pretty deep, good substance behind there.
Apparently, according to the chat, I am dead on, and he is disappointed in
Oh,
you, Caleb.
all right. Well, sorry, man. You know what? I'm on 5 hours of sleep. Don't expect much from
You
me
got to
today.
give him some leeway, right?
You don't
Not only
understand.
is he an Eagles fan, but he grew up in
Okay.
Florida, so we have
All
to
right. Yeah,
we have to be
fires
patient.
don't exist in Florida. That's not real.
So we
Actually,
have to
there's
give him a
actually a lot of
little
fires in Florida.
patience.
Look, you wouldn't believe I had to wake up after 5 hours of sleep because the work to get to adopt a cat, just walk in and pick one out and take it home. Nope, not that simple.
I'm surprised you can't.
They
If
got
they
they got to
want to.
contact references, which hey, I'm all for. You don't want to go to a bad home.
I guess that makes sense. That makes sense. It
One
is
one
weird
place
though. A
one
lot of
place
these.
basically asked me if I die, who takes care of the cat, which was a very thought provoking question.
Will, I need you to read that chat.
All right, all right. You know what? You can poke fun now. Yeah, we lost. You can poke your fun.
Did you
Yeah,
see?
for those who don't know, I'm a big Eagles fan.
Oh
Even though
yeah,
I grew up in Florida, I have family in Philly. So 2 weeks ago
none
was
of
my
us know. You've
personal.
never talked about it.
Yeah, I know. 2 weeks ago was my personal hell. Worst day of my life, basically. I cried after the game. To be completely honest, I shed a few tears. I thought we were gonna win, and then they ripped it away from me. But you know what? We're all good now.
Did
You
you
know what?
see the
I got to
thing
see one
on?
in 2017. I'm okay.
You got to see a Super Bowl?
Well, I didn't go
Oh,
see it, but I got to see
oh.
them win their first one on TV, and then I ran around my neighborhood screaming the Eagles fight song. And then some girl called me a bandwagon fan at school the next day.
Wow, the disrespect. Um, I will say, did you see the thing going around Twitter, which was because obviously Valentine's Day right after the Super Bowl, um, and the it was, and by the way, here's my disclosure: I don't really know anything about sport ball. Not a sports guy, never have been. But what's the guy who controversial? Um, so okay, I'm really showing my hand here as much as how much I don't actually know
I
anything about
assume you're
sports.
referring to the final play,
Yes,
basically
the
the
con.
holding penalty.
Yes, the holding penalty. What
Yes,
was that? What's that guy's name?
it was the Chiefs player was Juju Smith-Schuster, and the Eagles player was James Bradbury. And I assume you're referring to the Twitter exchange.
The Valentine, where
Yeah,
it's like,
Juju Smith-Schuster, for those who don't know, posted a meme on Twitter afterwards. James Bradbury held him. Yes, as an Eagles fan, it was a hold. I hate that they called it, but it was a hold. I can't be mad at that. Uh, he posted a meme of James Bradbury's face that said, "I'll hold you when it matters most."
yeah, it was Valentine.
And Eagles players didn't take too kindly to that. And one of my favorite players, AJ Brown, responded and called him TikTok boy because he made more TikToks this year than touchdowns scored. So, which is hilarious to me. It was a whole fiasco. It was one of the better days on sports Twitter that I can remember.
But yeah, so that's kind of the fire weather and convective outlooks. We didn't really get too much into the upper air stuff. But
It seems like it's kind of a lackluster event to begin with, but
I wasn't really too jazzed about it, to be honest. But I don't know. I'm just so desperate for something to happen.
I know. You telling me we might get some freezing rain here later this week, but after that, first week in March, I'm going back home to Florida for spring break, and then it's gonna be anything like next week in Florida. It's supposed to be almost 90 in Florida, in Jacksonville, which is ridiculous. We're supposed to hit almost 70 here again, which is going to be incredible.
We are in the 70s today. We're
You
getting
got to
mid
figure it.
70s.
I wish, I miss it. It's one of the nicer days we've had this winter. It was mostly sunny today. Hit about 58 for a high, so not too bad. It's better than earlier this winter when it was like 16 degrees.
Well, what else we got? We got
Oh man,
that convective
um,
outlook, but again, not too.
you know who Pico's Hank is?
I do.
Did you watch his video from last year? He posted
Which
his
dude?
tornado.
So
He
many
posted one a
videos.
few. He posted one a few weeks ago.
Oh! I thought you meant it was
Tornadoes.
posted last
No,
year. I was
no, it
like,
was recapping the
that's
last season.
okay. No, I
Tornadoes of
haven't
twenty.
watched it yet.
Yeah,
But
tornadoes of 2022. It's another banger as usual.
I first of all, I know you're not a Texas boy, so I'll give you a pass on this one. But I believe the pronunciation is Pecos.
You're right. I gotta bring up my southern. You say like you gotta say it like you're
It's
saying pecan.
oh, there's a good question. Pecan or pecan?
I mean, it depends on where you're from. I know, like the Georgia people, technically where I'm from, say pecan, but
I I
I
will
think pecan's more of a northern thing.
pecan. It feels it feels like something from
It's no,
Minnesota. I'll say this.
if you go for the southern accent, pecan just rolls off the tongue a little bit easier.
I'll say this. I think it depends, and I think it's situational. Like the actual nut is a pecan, but if it's pie related, it's
Oh,
pecan
see,
pie.
I feel very similarly about caramel.
Fair enough. I've
Caramel,
heard that as well.
caramel is a flavor. The actual candy, caramel.
Hmm. Yeah, I've heard someone say the pretty much the same thing.
That's the way I view
I
it.
don't know. I don't really care about the caramel one. The pecan versus pecan is a more heated subject. But I don't know. We're all God's happy little creatures.
I
So
see. The problem is, I spent so much of my life. See, Jacksonville's a weird place because Jacksonville is both. What is the nicest way I can put this? It is both urban and country, and so I picked up parts of both, but then I also picked up parts of the north because I would spend every summer in Philly. So my accent. I wish I sounded more like just straight Southern, but I don't, unfortunately.
yeah, I think the weird blend is fair enough because I don't think I really have an accent.
Not
Um,
really. It comes out a little bit on certain words. I can hear it, but
oh, okay.
I
Well,
had someone tell me my freshman year at OU. Someone was from the north say, "You sound so Southern," and I was like, "I do,"
I don't get
because
that.
I say y'all.
Everybody says y'all though.
Y'all, if you don't say y'all, you're not. I'm sorry, you're not a fun person. I stand by that.
That's
Y'all is such a that, and I realized it over the summer. My default greeting is just howdy. I say howdy to everybody.
that's good. That's good. You're
It's a
you're
good one.
working in your southern roots.
I am. I am. I
I've
love it.
incorporated more howdy.
I'm sure all my Canadian coworkers just think I'm some southern hick.
Well, so I didn't think I had an accent, but I'm from Texas Panhandle, and so I've been told when I tells like when I at least this is by my roommate Jacob. I've been told that when I start telling a story my accent comes out, which doesn't make sense to me. But my dad's, you know, well, he was kind of from all around, but generally speaking, he has like a like a very, I don't know what the word for it would be. It's not really an anything accent because he's from like Ohio and Kansas, and so it's like it's a very nothing accent, and
It's America.
and my grandparents on my mom's side have a little like, but then again they're from Arkansas and California, and so it's like it's just this weird mix of states, a bunch of different states accents that kind of was handed down.
I
But
propose we all start talking like the announcers and newscasters of like the 50s and 60s. I don't know why they sounded like that, but
yeah, it's bizarre.
everyone sounded the same then. I don't get it.
Well, there is I can actually lend some of my broadcast expertise here, expertise in very loose quotations. Um, so there you are supposed to adopt like a broadcaster's voice, where like you don't really have too much of any particular accent, um, and it's supposed to like increase relatability or something with the audience. I think that's silly.
Especially if you're in like an Oklahoma area, sound
If
country.
you're
Who
if you're in
cares?
the area, you might as well. Like
Yeah.
if but also there's novelty in it too. Like if if a real Texas drawl went up to like New York or something, there would be novelty in that. It's like, oh hey,
Oh
it's the
yeah. It's the Texas guy.
yeah. I don't know. I think that's there's all sorts of weird stuff about the broadcast industry, but like I'd say, and I'm sure you'd agree. Aside from accents, the locations where we were raised had a lot of impact on our particular interests in weather
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
because obviously Texas Panhandle, thunderstorms, tornadoes. Um, but you're a bit because you do have that mix, right, of Philly and
Oh yeah. I mean, I got everything. Philly, I got a little bit of winter weather, every once in a blue moon. It was rare that I'd go up in the winter. So, and regardless, my passion doesn't really lie in winter weather forecasting. It just doesn't excite me as much as storms do. But Jacksonville and tropical stuff, oh heck yeah. That's where that all came from.
would you think of this year's, speaking of tropical stuff, would you think of this year's hurricane season?
I'm gonna try not to sound like an asshole here. I told everybody I knew at the beginning of the season, it is La Nina. Do not expect a super active season. I don't care what the forecast says. I've seen this enough times. And guess what? It was an average to I'd even wager below average season.
It was below average, I think.
Now, there was, you know, the destructive storms in southern Florida and whatnot. I'm not saying that didn't happen, but I'm saying by the sheer number of storms that they were predicting, I never quite sat right with me. But hey, they're the experts. They project what they do. I'm not saying like don't trust them. I just have my own personal view on it where I didn't quite fully agree with it. I will say, man, that hurricane that came across the southwest coast of Florida, man, that thing was. Whew.
So my thinking on it was because it had a really late start, right? Like we didn't get a significant major hurricane until
Yeah, I guess it was kind of
how
later.
but also I don't know. I still wonder. I don't have any
Let's see
proof
what the
of
date of that
this.
hurricane was.
Have they done their?
I don't know if they've done the reanalysis. I just want to look at the dates of exactly.
I just was wondering if they've done their recap yet or not.
That's a good question. Okay, yeah, September to October was Hurricane Ian, which is kind of right in the peak of the season overall. So I'm not too surprised there. Um, but I do think, if I remember, there wasn't. Trying to remember the season in general.
So here was the 2022 track
Mhm.
or track list. Um, also,
Yeah,
hang on.
we only got through Nicole last year. How about that?
I finally got a hurricane name, and they spelled
Finally.
it wrong. It's only
Oh,
one
that's
L.
right. They did.
I
They
was
did.
so
See, my luck with
annoyed.
getting a hurricane name would have to require a super active season.
Mm-hmm.
And see,
Dude, I
here's the
mean,
other
we
thing.
went through. We started getting into the Greek letters last time.
We did, and if you look at this year, it regressed back to the mean. We only got through N, and if you look at the amount of what actually constitutes like an official storm, there were what is that 14, 17 storms last year, and of those there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hurricanes. So less than half were hurricanes. There were 3 tropical storms, one post-tropical storm, which sure, and then 2 tropical depressions. So overall, it was a pretty season.
And it is a little bizarre too. And I'm not judging them. Obviously, it takes a ton of time to crunch data and stuff on it. But apparently, I don't know when this was posted, but apparently they've only done post storm analysis on Alex and me.
Yeah,
They
they tend
haven't.
to. It tends to come out, I think, closer to the actual start of hurricane season. It takes them a while to do it, which I get, especially for Ian this year. The post analysis on that is going to take a while.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But Ian was really the only bad. Well, Fiona too. Fiona was pretty bad as well. I forgot about Fiona.
It doesn't say when this.
Now, luckily, Fiona missed the greater U.S., but I had to deal with that on my shifts. It came on shore as a post-tropical cyclone um, into Nova Scotia and brought some pretty gnarly winds with it. Man, that was a rough day to be on the forecast.
I'm sure, man. Still haven't had any brown ocean effects yet. I mean, in my living memory.
Mm.
Um, for those who don't know, the brown ocean effect, I want to say it was well, let's check. 2004? No, that was Bonnie. 2000. Okay. Should be the B. And Brett, 6? Nope, that's, well, okay. My,
I mean, you maybe with the storms that went into Louisiana 2 years ago, they kind of kept a decent amount of their strength pretty far inland for the most part.
Bill, 2008. So the thing with Bill, um, what was interesting was brown ocean effect. It essentially re-strengthened because of a lot of surface moisture and soil moisture was a big part of it. We did a project on it in Basara's class, but obviously I don't want any big scary hurricanes or any sort of destructive thing like that. But I would really like to see the brown ocean effect in.
It's certainly wild because typically we think of hurricanes as being drawing their moisture from the ocean, but when it comes from the surface like that on land, it almost is a mesoscale accident in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that shouldn't happen with just the way hurricanes function.
I think so. We've had a pretty significant La Nina pattern. Do you think by next hurricane season will be? Obviously, there's no way of telling this far out for sure, but do you think we'll trend maybe warm enough to get
Yeah,
a solid El Nino?
climatology models. I don't know if we get quite to El Nino, but I do think we at least get to a very weak La Nina. Or even neutral. It seems like La Nina's hold on the pattern is greatly weakening going forward. At least the last time I saw, I haven't seen anything super recently about it.
Hmm.
Um, but I think all signs were pointing to La Nina
The
starting to
last
taper off.
the last I had seen, and this was a week or two ago, it was expected to be neutral by March,
Okay,
by
and you know
early
what else that
March.
boat? You know what else that bodes well for?
Oh yeah, yeah. I already,
Made in the
yeah.
plains.
But my thinking is, if we're neutral by March, we might could get to El Nino. Or wait, yes. I always have to double check. I don't. I get my terms mixed up. Anyway, I think we could be in a solid El Nino by hurricane season.
Yeah, by
If we
hurricane
truly
season.
are neutral by March.
Yeah, and I think that would favor a slightly more active pattern depending on the strength
Mhm.
of the El Nino. But yeah, it's certainly a possibility.
I mean, obviously, there's not. But
Long range climatology is not really my area of expertise, so I'm not
well, it's
incredibly
also
well versed in
just
it. But
it's also just incredibly. It's so finicky. Like
it is. It can start going one way and then dive back the other.
typically, I think it's typically cyclical. That's why it's an oscillation, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect a 3 year El Nino, but a year to maybe a year and a half, maybe even 2 years is quite possible with the length of this La Nina. The atmosphere and the oceans strive to have balance. So if you go too far one way, it's going to react just as strongly in the opposite direction. So
Yeah, I think I don't know. We'll see. I I obviously again I don't want a bunch of um, dangerous storms or anything, but it would be very interesting to keep an eye on this next hurricane season.
yeah, I'd be interested to see what the CSU forecast is when it comes out. That should come out. Usually comes out in May, I think.
May or June, I think. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
somewhere because the official start of hurricane season is June 1st, but you typically last few years you've gotten some pretty early systems, but it's not overly common to get them.
Except last year. Man, last year was just weird.
It's super weird. You had, yeah, I mean, you had cold core cyclones, and yeah, it was something else.
Well,
The big thing for at least the southern plains with El Nino is I think it'll take you would need multiple years of El Nino to really start to counteract the effects of the La Nina because the drought in the western U.S. has been bad for so long that you need
we
a year
really
of
need,
just rain to sort of
yes,
freshen that up.
yes, we really need a significant amount of rain preferably over a long period of time because I don't know if I really only just found this out a little bit ago. I don't remember when, but like really drought ridden soil, like really dry soil, doesn't absorb as quickly. I don't know why, some reason, but it doesn't absorb as quickly. So yeah, you can get a huge ton of rain, and it's really helpful for the drought. But if you get too quickly, you have a lot of flash floods, which is part of the reason. I mean, obviously the atmospheric river and everything, but it's part of the reason why California had such bad flooding the last several months.
Yeah, I mean,
Is
that and their burn scars that they had there. Just
yes,
that's more
yes,
Arizona, but even California was a problem
but
too.
like just being so significantly in drought that when you do get the rain, it it doesn't absorb into the soil like it.
It's almost like if you're outside and you're getting hypothermia, you're not supposed to just go take a blazing hot shower because it shocks your
Yes,
body. It's kind
yes.
of the same thing.
Um, is it that way for heat stroke?
Um,
Clazel would smack us for not knowing this.
yeah, I'm not entirely sure. You would think growing up in
I'm
Florida, I would
pretty
know
sure
this,
it's
but
I'm pretty sure
probably
it's
is.
cool you down as quick as possible. The thing with heat stroke is don't
Yeah.
move the person.
Don't exert.
Get shade over them, but don't move them to the shade because the movement can mess with stuff. Um, or maybe
It's a
you can move
problem.
them to the shade.
People
I
don't
don't know.
realize, man, heat stroke is a problem, especially in areas of you would think people tend to think of, oh, it's in places like the desert west where it's 112 degrees. Listen, growing up in Florida, yeah, the high might be 92 on the day, but when the dew point is 76 at noon, it feels like it's 115.
Oh
So
my
it's not
gosh,
fun.
yeah. Any place like where you grew up that's so coastal and so warm. Ugh.
It's not fun.
Yeah, I hate it.
I don't miss the humidity.
I man. So for a reference, right? Obviously, growing up Texas Panhandle, nice and dry. I thought Norman was too humid when I moved for school. I thought Norman was too humid,
Norman
which
was like the driest place on earth to be.
yeah, Norman's like nothing compared to like
The great thing about
Florida
Norman
or
is
Houston or something.
whenever it's humid in Norman, it's probably gonna storm that day.
I don't know. Some of those late July,
Yeah, it
August
can get kind
days
of
where
bad.
it's like horrible humidity and it's just
Yeah,
oppressively
you
hot.
just
Like
have
there's no
days of you just get days of moisture return from the
uh-huh.
south, and it does get muggy at times.
I mean, yeah, for me that was like, oh, it's like a sauna
That's not
compared
fun.
to, Texas Panhandle.
The good thing about Florida is you can always count on your 5 p.m. thunderstorm to kind of cool things off a tiny bit, which is always nice. But
Hmm. Yeah, I love how regular the Florida thunderstorms are. It's like every
every day,
yeah.
you at least hear a rumble of thunder, and I loved it. Now it messes with some plans sometimes, but
Oh, I imagine. I imagine. But I don't know. I wish we got more thunderstorms in Lubbock here, where I'm at. Like, it's so
yeah, you guys
part
kind of
of
get
part of it's the
screwed.
pattern, but
You get kind of screwed by the dry line constantly being east of Lubbock, and
the dry line, the stupid cap rock, you know, because it takes. Because think about it, you get southeast flow that would normally lead to moisture, um, filtering into an area, but when it has to go up a stupid incline, it
yep,
needs a bit. It needs a little extra oomph, and so like, and obviously, like we still get our fair share of storms and moisture and whatnot, but not nearly as much as like the Norman area or like central Oklahoma, central Texas. Like it's so much more common there because it doesn't have that. Um, it has more access to the moisture in general, but it doesn't have as much geographical obstacles.
yeah, they're farther east. They get a little bit more time for the leaf cycle
Same
genesis to
same
kick
kind of
in,
thing, I
and
guess, with the Panhandle too, like the Texas Panhandle.
mhm.
Um, and obviously,
Yeah,
and Texas Panhandle benefits a lot more from leaf cycle genesis than Lubbock. Lubbock
yeah,
just so
yeah. Lubbock's dry. It's the Dust Bowl down there.
it really is, man. Like, so we had some really bad winds the other day, like 35 to 40 sustained, like gusts up to 60, gusts over 60. I'm pretty sure, but the wind was so bad, I had to like open my door and like wedge a towel in because I literally had a pile of dust
Oh, it's like that scene from
indoors.
Interstellar.
Yeah. Like I literally had a pile of dust in my house in front of the door because it was just like, ugh, it's so bad. It's so
Speaking of,
dusty.
since I mentioned it, I want everyone to know that is my favorite movie. That
Interstellar?
movie's
It's
fantastic.
not Twister?
It's not Twister. It's Interstellar. The science and the ideas behind Interstellar, not to mention the soundtrack. Oh, it's top tier. It is so top tier. It is some big brain stuff going on there.
And Twister's not big brain.
No, Twister is incredibly. It's for the biggest of brains.
It is
Only the
there's
biggest of brains can flick some dust and know where the tornado's touching down.
galaxy brain Twister. the the Chad Twister viewer versus
Uh,
the pathetic loser Geostorm viewer.
uh,
All my Geostorm fans out there.
yeah, Bill Paxton is the Chad meme, and Jonas is Apustaya.
Okay, we've been promising this for a million episodes now, even though we've only done technically two, three if you include the little intro. Um, we will watch Twister. It's gonna
We
happen,
will. It's gonna happen.
but we're
And if
gonna
you want to
keep
take part,
baiting it. We are
if
going to
you want to take
keep.
part in that, let us know.
Yes,
Comment if you want to be in. If you want to be invited to the Twister watch party,
we'll
let us know.
we will figure it out. I've been thinking on it. I think I've come up with a format we can do it where we won't have the copyright problems. But we're gonna keep teasing it until then. So here's today's Twister tease. Did Jonas deserve his well, actually hang on. I don't know if this spoils. Should we Twister's been out since
It's been out
the
for 20
90s,
something.
man. Can we spoil it? We can spoil it.
Yeah.
All right.
Did Jonas deserve to die in
To
the
get
absolute brutal
skewered and barbecued? I don't think he did.
No, of course
Sure,
not.
he was in it
Was
for
he a
the money and
was
not
he a
the
jerk?
science.
Was he a jerk? Absolutely. Who cares? I love how just so stereotypically bad guys they are. It's just oh, they drive
Well,
like this.
I want to
They
get
have
into
corporate sponsors. They're evil.
they're in it for the money, not the
Not the
science.
science. Literally every storm chaser alive today.
In it for the money and not the science. I want to get into the writer's brain for a minute. I want to know why they even had to have evil storm chasers. Like it's like oh the big scary tornadoes aren't villains enough. We need a side villain.
It's to show us that Bill Paxton really just transcends everything.
I
He's a great
guess.
guy and he knows his tornadoes.
I guess. I mean, he could make his marriage work, but
Well, you know.
gee, man, what a phenomenal movie.
Let me
Just
argue
everything.
with my ex-wife as the tornado's bearing down on us.
Yeah, that man, that was always
And
that did
everybody
strike
can
me as
hear it. And
bizarre.
everybody how could they hear on the intercom? They were in the back of the truck and the intercom was on in the front seat. And they heard it loud and clear.
Speakerphone. I don't know,
You know what? Those old F-150s were forces of nature themselves.
dude. Okay, first of all, not an F-150.
Oh, what was it?
It was a Ram.
Oh, you're right. It was a Ram. You're right. You know, okay. You know what?
Man,
Joe's
sorry.
Jeep truck. I kind of like that thing.
I liked those.
That thing didn't deserve its death.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. And because they didn't, it wasn't well. Tornadoes were CGI, right? But
Yeah.
most of the effects were practical,
Mhm.
at least in that particular scene.
They did drive through
actually
a house.
crushed. Well, yeah, they actually drove through a house, but they actually crushed that beautiful Jeep.
What a
It made me
shame.
mad.
What a shame. But it did lead to one of the funniest scenes involving Dusty.
Mm-hmm.
Windy? That's intense.
We should really just rebrand this as the podcast where we talk about Twister all day.
Oh man. And I stand by it. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I don't. It's not the best
Of course not.
quality wise,
But damn it, it's the best weather movie.
but entertainment value.
Oh, it's great.
Second to
It's
none.
great. It's
It's
fantastic.
great. It's
Anybody can sit there and watch it.
well, anybody can sit and watch anything technically.
And the fact that the effects have aged as well as they have is impressive.
Yeah. So I'm not going to be like a Twister purist and say it shouldn't be remade or sequeled. Obviously, we're getting the Twisters sequel.
As long as they don't butcher it, I'm fine.
Man, I'm just so nervous because we've had so much sequel and reboots.
Come on.
And
But Top Gun Maverick gave me some hope.
Top Gun Maverick gave me hope. Top Gun Maverick was good.
The
Um,
key is to stick by what worked and still innovate. Don't
well, and
completely disregard what worked.
a lot of there's a really big trend of we gotta like make fun of old characters or stories to like prop up our new ones, and that's really just no, it's so unappealing.
Yeah.
We've had a very bad run of this. Is definitely the franchise and sequel and reboot era of film, but you know
Yep.
maybe Twisters 2 will be okay. Maybe. I noticed they went with the Aliens sequel pattern of naming the sequel the plural of the original.
I swear, if we get a scene where there's like 4 tornadoes on the ground at once, I might punch my TV. I might do it.
I don't.
I would. There's so many opportunities for it to go so
Do we have a
wrong.
release date? Let's check this out. Do we have a release date?
Uh,
Let's just find out.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, we do have a description.
Mm.
20 years ago, scientists achieved the impossible. Oh, okay. They collected a full data set from inside of a monster EF, or technically yes, EF. Or
Back
I'm
then, it
just
would have been
I'm so
F5.
in I'm so ingrained saying EF now. It was an F tornado, an F5 tornado. Uh, Exchange this data, they were able to create an advanced early warning system named Athena.
So we have
Information
Toto.
thousands
So we
like.
had Dorothy and Toto. Now we have Athena.
However, while science has become complacent, Mother Nature continued to evolve. Oh no, they are going with the route of even
It,
bigger,
it
even scarier tornadoes.
it's the easy route. That's why. It was so easy to predict that's what they were gonna do. There is still a way to do that correctly.
Yeah, like Geostorm.
No, you know what
I
movie
hate Geostorm. I
you know
can't
what
tell
movie is
you.
Geostorm but better? You ever seen The Day After Tomorrow?
I have.
That's a good that's a good movie.
It
It's over the
is.
it's incredibly over
It's
the top. But it's
it's
a good movie. I like it.
it's okay.
It now
I'll
the science makes absolutely zero sense, but
hang on. What's this?
are these all just
Footage of real tornadoes without any coherent story. It's a documentary. Oh
videos
my
of
gosh, it
tornadoes?
had Ted Fujita in it.
Oh, how about that? I feel like that's how most people describe weather movies. It's just footage with no. But that's how storm chasing actually is.
It's just footage with no coherent story.
Speaking of that, Reed Timmer's going on a podcast tomorrow, which I am super excited to listen to.
Ooh.
He's gone on Bob Menery's podcast. I will be tuning into that.
I haven't
See,
I'll have to check that out.
I'm skeptical of any details about this movie we get now because it's so far
Yeah.
out. I'm not gonna trust anything until I see the official
Also,
trailer.
that appears to say 2016. I can't
It's like
actually tell.
this is like when back in the early 2010s when everyone was convinced they were remaking Titanic.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's a
11,
lot of
11-year-old me was fascinated in that storyline.
we'll see. We will hold our breath for Twisters. So I'm trying to think. So Alien did Aliens.
It can work. I think
Um,
the plural edition works
I'm trying to think because Predator had Predator 2,
too.
but then
Yeah,
there was also Predators. I think.
interesting.
I don't
Sorry,
remember.
just wait till we get the Fast and Furious route and we get Twister 17.
Dude, I'm surprised Fast and Furious hasn't done like a tornado
Surprised they
where
haven't just
someone's got
done.
to like drive through a tornado or something. Have you seen the trailer for Um, is it Fast X or I think it is Fast
Yeah,
X.
it's just remember how these this movie franchise started out
It
as
used to be about
drag
racing.
racing. Now now Vin Diesel is taking down two helicopters with his
Um,
damn
I don't even.
Challenger.
I don't even mind. Like I get it. It jumped
It's
the shark.
entertaining,
It's
but I'm
it's
trying to
good.
remember. I'm
It's
trying to
good
remember the plot of the old
popcorn
movies.
fodder.
How did we get to this point?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different things, right? So
Somehow, like it started out as local cop is trying to stop
bust
car
street
racing.
racing ring
Somehow the
that
federal
also were they okay, so we got the FBI involved because after the end of Fast and Furious, Paul Walker lets Vin Diesel go because they became
yes,
friends. They
and
bonded over racing and also his
then
sister.
Too Fast and Too Furious came out, but then we end up in Tokyo at some point.
Yeah, so the Tokyo thing was weird, right? They
That's when it becomes a whole like globe. I think that's when the global shift really started.
I think well,
Well, Tokyo Drift is almost a one-off in its own
it
way.
is a one-off. So what's interesting is so they incorporated a larger scale with like the FBI and everything in two. But Too Fast Too Furious also didn't have Vin Diesel. It was just
Mm.
Paul Walker. And so it was like, okay, I guess two wasn't well received, or maybe it kind of was, but like people wanted something different, and so they did their one off. But I think starting with three, they're like, okay, we need to franchise this because they have the at the very end of the movie, Vin Diesel shows up to Japan,
Mm.
and so it's like, okay, well then where do you go from here? Well, let's
I
do a prequel.
just real quick by modern standards, how funny would it have been if Vin Diesel just showed up to Tokyo as just family?
Well, he kind of did. They kind of did. They were
He
like,
kind of did, yeah.
yeah,
But if
he's
he said
like,
nothing else,
that's literally all he says, family. But no, he showed up and the I don't remember her name. She was such a
yeah,
she didn't reappear, so I don't remember her name. British chick. She was like,
yeah.
some guy here wants to race the new DK, and he was like, don't do races with strangers or something. And like says Han was family, just like they do the look, and you're like, yeah, I know,
It
I know what's
really
about to
went off the
happen.
rails when The Rock got involved.
It went off the rails at four because I remember the opening of four was just insane. Like they were like it was like a gas tanker rolling down a mountain or something. It was nuts. They jumped the shark at four for sure, but they started their franchise building at three, and four and five were both prequels, and then six wasn't. But then they brought Han back anyway. I don't know, dude. It's insane.
It's all convoluted
We
now.
went to space. We'll probably time travel in Fast 12. Who knows? Like it's. I honestly, I'm surprised they haven't done time travel yet. They did a
Yeah,
AI computer that can hack
franchises are just
anything.
getting so
Well,
watered down. Even dude, I feel like the quality of Marvel movies has just tanked so much recently.
yeah, I don't want to get into Marvel. I have a very unpopular opinion on the
Following
state of
Endgame, the only thing I'm interested in, like after Endgame, is Spider-Man now.
okay, we're not so uncommon. I think everything that has come out. So Endgame itself wasn't great mechanically, fan service wise.
Great,
It's
fantastic.
great.
You know, it was over the top blockbuster. That's all it had to be. That's all it wanted to be. I'm fine with it.
I think Endgame really fell apart when you put your brain to it, like when you start thinking about it, if you analyze the story at all. Which that problem kicked off at Endgame and has just really gone. Like it was a little bit in Captain Marvel with some of the weird retconning, um, but that at least Captain Marvel, aside from like some weird retconning problems,
It was fine for the most part.
was self-contained bad.
Mhm.
Everything that has come out, including Endgame, except honestly, no. I'm going to include Spider-Man: No Way Home in this too. Has done some form of damage to the world building. Every single thing. Um,
Yeah.
world building and or characters. Because I hit my desk. Whoops. Because like, man, every
I will say, in the last Spider-Man, fan service was top notch.
it was, but I think Spider-Man: No Way Home at least had some really really solid character building.
Hmm. Which
Um,
saved it.
it saved that movie. Like the story, like some of the plot issues were not okay.
The story was a little bit predictable. Like you knew it was gonna be the Green Goblin who.
Yeah, but also like some of the character stuff with Wong and
Yeah.
Doctor
Don't get me
Strange.
started on the last damn Thor.
Dude, I didn't even watch it. I couldn't
It's
be
awful.
bothered. I couldn't
It's
be bothered.
awful. Like the third one was charmingly funny.
Hmm.
This one is annoyingly funny to the point where it's not even funny.
Taika Waititi needed guidance.
Yeah.
I think. I think when some creators are that way, when you just set them loose and don't give them any guidelines or restrictions, they make bad
Even the
stuff.
even the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie doesn't pique my interest like the previous two have.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, did you watch She-Hulk?
No.
It was
No.
not good.
Marvel shows aren't that great.
Honestly, I think everything that's come out has been catastrophic except for Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yeah, I'd
I
agree
just
with
have
that.
no more interest in it at all. I just don't care.
It's
Consume product, then get ready for next product. I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm good. I'm gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna watch other stuff.
I might I know not everyone is into this. I'm a fan of the way that they're rebuilding the Transformers universe.
I haven't watched any new Transformers. The
The
last one I saw
Bumblebee,
was 4.
the Bumble. Okay, well that good because 5 is awful.
Hmm.
Um, but they basically rebooted the franchise.
Good.
They took all the crap Michael Bay had and threw it out.
Well, okay, here's my honestly, I treat Transformers like I do Fast and Furious. I've never expected a brilliant cohesive story from either franchise. I think and I my big rule with myself is I separate quality and enjoyment. So
Absolutely.
I enjoy movies that are really bad.
Like, don't get me wrong. The first 3 Transformer movies, they're not great movies, but I enjoyed the hell out of them.
I would say that at least all the Transformers I saw, and pretty much all of the Fast and Furious movies are not good movies, but they are supremely entertaining.
But hey, I'll take entertaining any day.
I will too. And I don't know. I expected different things from Marvel because when people will say like, why do you care? It's just a movie. Just don't think about it. It's like, well, that wasn't the standard.
That's insulting my intelligence.
Well,
Then,
it partially, but also like that wasn't the standard. You were able to, use your brain at Marvel movies at some point.
yeah,
Like there was a time where you could watch a movie and like a Marvel movie specifically, and they're like the characters and the plot and world building was all cohesive to
yeah.
something.
Like Infinity War was expertly done
Mm-hmm.
because the entire time I think everybody expected them to win in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But then when the movie ends with them losing, you're almost there like, what
And
happens
well,
now?
and that was a good example of
Yeah,
subversion. I This might be a hot take. I think I've I've no love for the sequel trilogy, Star Wars sequel trilogy.
mm-hmm.
I think the most egregious offender is The Last Jedi because they took that whole we're going to subvert expectations thing and they just did it on repeat
Yep,
endlessly.
yeah.
And it just doesn't make for good storytelling. Like you can subvert expectations well in a story and you can also do that. And
Yeah. Oh
but
boy, we've really gone off the
yeah,
rails
we
here.
have. All right. up next, the Reflectivity Movie Podcast. No, I think it's fine. I again, this is
Hey,
we're not all weather here.
yeah, we'll
We're
talk
here
about
to hang
whatever.
out and have fun and talk about weather sometimes, and we'll talk about Fast and Furious going to
Yeah, I
space
think it's more entertaining for
sometimes.
people who aren't in the weather as much.
Hmm.
Throw in some other stuff for them.
Yeah, we are almost at the hour and a half mark.
Holy cow!
We're about 3 minutes short of that. So
How about that?
some of the audio problems will get cut out in the re-upload. That's fine. I am gonna go ahead and plug our social medias. They are up
Yeah.
top if you haven't seen them. But yeah, if you enjoy what we do, go follow us on social media, and we'll be putting out more very
Please,
soon.
yeah,
We got some guests lined up, or about to be lined up. Just working on scheduling there, and so shoot, I guess that's it. Will, anything you want to add?
no, sounds great. Like Colin mentioned, please interact with us on social media. The more we can
Mm-hmm.
interact with you guys outside of this podcast, where it's us just talking to a screen and some chat members, uh, gives us a better idea of what y'all want to talk about. Give us ideas. What do you guys want to hear us talk about? What are some topics? Come join live. Give us topics to talk about
Yeah,
in the podcast.
and hey,
Now,
the more we interact, the more ideas we can get for episodes and do stuff that y'all want to see. You know, if you want to see us break down SPC outlooks every single time, well, we'll keep doing that. If you want to see us do, I don't know, other stuff, we
yeah, I
do like.
understand that, having a listening to a video on YouTube isn't, quite the same experience as listening to a podcast on, say, Spotify or Apple
Mhm.
Podcasts. We did have our first episode uploaded to those platforms, but those platforms cost money to continue to update. So we haven't been able to do that for the last few episodes, but the bigger audience we get and the more we can start
More cool
pulling in
stuff we
some
can do.
donations and
Yeah.
whatnot, we can start posting those to those sites, and you can listen to us anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, and really the goal is overall the goal is to just make a good product. We and we can't do that without your help. You know, interacting with us, giving us ideas, showing us what you actually want to see. All that stuff is important. So yeah, we tag us on social media, give us some feedback if you want, and I guess until next time, we'll see you.
Yep. See you, folks.